Omaha Steaks semi-annual sale is back. Save 50% site-wide on legendary steaks, juicy air-chilled chicken, beefy burgers, and so much more. Plus, get an extra $35 off when you use code TENDER during checkout at omahasteaks.com today. This sale only happens twice a year, which means it's the perfect time to stock up on the world's best steak experience with America's original butcher. With 5 generations of family-owned experience, Omaha Steaks are hand-selected from the finest grain-finished beef, naturally aged at least 28 days to maximize tenderness, and hand-carved by master butchers, with every bite backed by their 100% guarantee. Shop now to save 50% site-wide on steaks and more during the semi-annual sale at omahasteaks.com. Plus, get an extra $35 off with code TENDER at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with code TENDER. Minimum purchase may apply.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like aloe or skins, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skins uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to Orioles on the Verge. This is Zach Spedden, joined as always by Bob Phelan and Nick Stevens. And on tonight's episode, we grade your predictions. We're going to dive into the bold predictions that our listeners have submitted, and we're going to discuss on a 20 to 80 scale how we feel about those predictions. That will be on tonight's episode of Orioles on the Verge, which is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to a $200,000 bracket contest, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Now, every year on this show, we have our predictions. And in fact, we're going to bring those to you next week when Connor Newcomb, the host of Locked On Orioles, joins us for preseason predictions. We're going to cover the Orioles, all of Major League Baseball. We're also going to have some over-unders. That's one of our favorite shows that we do every year. That's coming up next week. But we thought as a warm-up, this week we would try something new, and that is we would talk about your predictions, the predictions that you, the listeners, have for the 2025 season. And these came in through the Bold Predictions channel on our Discord chat. We're going to read those off tonight. And if you happen to be watching the show live and a prediction comes to you while you're watching this show, feel free to drop it in the comments and we might pull it up on the air. And I'm going to just dive right in here with the first prediction. And as a reminder, we'll grade these on the 20 to 80 scouting scale, 20 being the worst, 80 being the best. This one comes from David C. His bold prediction is Adley wins MVP this year. Nick, how are you grading that one?
I think that's a pretty solid one. Just because, counting stats wise, Adley had a lot of similarities in 2024 compared to 2023. Clearly some areas that he's going to improve on. I think realistically, he can get back to 20 home runs, 30 doubles, right? More RBIs with an improved offense. Walk rate should climb back up. And I think, projections love this Orioles team, fans and national media for sure, maybe not as much. So I think if this Orioles team is hitting its strides, pitching well, and leading this AL East are right there as one of the top AL teams for much of the year, I think a lot of voters are going to look at Adley as the general, the leader behind the plate, leading this ragtag pitching staff full of 45-year-old nobodies, and yeah, get some hype. This is the kind of thing that I'd put money on Adley winning World Series. I think that's a good bet. It's long shot odds, but realistic. That's a solid, 70 grade prediction, I think, because I do think that is very realistic, in all honesty.
Yeah, I like it too. I think Revenge Bod Adley is going to be on a mission this year. He's got Robinson Sheernurse and Buck Britton in the clubhouse with him now, just going to add to his superpowers. And obviously, it looks like he's completely healthy and motivated. So I think it's his 26 age 27 season. So he's right in the prime of his career. 60 grade prediction for me. I like it a lot, even though I'd still put Gunnar ahead of him if he could ever get into a baseball game. Man, it sucks when the MVP candidate's out for the season. Sorry, I'm just getting my Birdland Twitter / Blue Skies, wherever you post baseball anymore, takes out of the way.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 65. So I'll split the difference between you guys here. I really like this prediction. I do think it's going to be tough for Adley because you're going to have that question of, is he even the most valuable player on his own team? Because Gunnar Henderson is going to be right in the thick of it. And who knows, as we get further into this episode, we might find some possible dark horse candidates on the Orioles roster for down ballot MVP consideration. But I do feel like Adley's going to bounce back, have a year in line with what he had in 2023. He'll avoid the second half swoon. And we know that he does a little bit of everything, and that helps when you're behind the plate. And if the Orioles get a good performance out of their pitching staff, I suspect he's going to get a lot of credit for that among the voters. So I do think that this is a really good prediction because it's bold, but it's also pretty realistic.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I read the next question, just shout out to our Discord, especially the patron channels. Like today, there was a over 100 post discussion debate about what a platoon is and how many we have going into the season. There's not a day that goes by when we're not arguing about Mountcastle or Mateo or whatever rehashings need to go on a daily basis. But it's a great group in there. If you can, if you want to be a part of it, then sign up for a Patreon. But Vivek, who has been calling Dylan Beavers Kyle Tucker light all preseason, says he predicts that Dylan Beavers has a Kyle Tucker light season, about a 275 average, 350 on base, 450 slugging, right around 800 OPS with 25 steals, 15 220 homers, and 25 doubles. What do you say, Nick?
Yeah, this is, you talk about Discord. This is, sometimes I feel like the patron only Discord jokes and banter moves on to the show, and some people are like, what the hell are they talking about? Anytime you mention Dylan Beavers, it sends the bat signal to Vivek, and he's going to say Kyle Tucker light. Just throw it in there. Because coming out of the draft, there were as far as like the traits Dylan Beavers had, a lot of Christian Yelich-esque traits and a lot of Kyle Tucker-esque traits, according to the public reports. I saw a fantasy analyst coming into this year put a Tommy Pham comp on Dylan Beavers. Don't hate that offensively. I'll take that, prime Tommy Pham. But as far as the slash line is concerned, it's within reach. I think the slash line will probably be lower across the board, but I do love the power speed potential here. And if he's going to carry over this spring success that he's having into the regular season, combined with his Rule 5 eligibility next offseason, it's going to be, whether it's because he's progressing or there's a trade or he's fighting for a roster spot or whatever it is, or he fails this year, either way, it's going to be an adventure, I think, for Dylan Beavers this year. And I'm pretty excited to watch that ride.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not an adventure out there tracking balls in the outfield. Am I right, Mark? But I think this is very reasonable prediction. I think if we've seen that Beavers has this in him. He had at least a stretch of this in him at Double A Bowie. It's going to be tough moving up to Triple A at the same time and doing it, but I could see it. He has looked good in the spring when he's had a chance to get into the Major League Spring Training games. So, I'll give it a 55 grade prediction.
Yeah, I'll give this a 60. Like Nick said, I think the slash line might be a little bit high. If he hit 275 this year, I'd be thrilled. But I do think the slash line is a little bit high. The power and speed numbers sound just about right. I didn't realize until, I knew it at the time, but I really didn't appreciate it in the moment how efficient of a base stealer Beavers was at Bowie last year. 31 for 34 in stolen base attempts. Now, he's not going to have Roberto Mercado as his manager this year, so the stolen base attempts might come down a little bit, but that's a sign to me that he's going to be successful at a pretty high clip. So stolen base totals seem about right. 15 home runs, just about right. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's a little bit higher than that. But, yeah, I like this prediction.
Speaking of home runs, going back to the Major League level, Callie's bold prediction was 4 infielders have 25 plus home runs this year. What do you think about that one, Bob?
I love this prediction. I think it can happen, honestly. If Ryan Mountcastle gets enough playing time and he's had a good spring, seems like he's pulling the ball with authority lately in the last few weeks. Maybe he can have 25. I think Gunnar will have 25 plus, and Westberg certainly has a chance to hit 25 plus. I guess Holiday's the one where it's like, is he going to be able to have that much juice? I think he could. I think Holiday could easily hit 25, maybe not easily, but I think he could definitely hit 25 home runs this year. So I'm giving this 80 grade. I love it. If it happens, then I don't know. Are we making history? Because that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look this up. I know the 96 Orioles, the infield hit a lot of home runs, so I'm going to look that up while Nick answers it. But I'm going to give this one, I'll go back to 65 for this one. I don't know that I see Holiday getting there this year. I do think that it's in the not-too-distant future, a 25 to 30 home run season for Holiday. I just don't know about it this year. Westberg, maybe with the fences moving in, a full healthy year, he gets to 25. But again, that might be towards the high end of the range for what he does. But I could see a scenario where you have at least 2 infielders, maybe 3 get there this year.
Yeah, this one's going to be really tough to happen. As far as optimism goes, obviously this is a fantastic one, but Gunnar is a slam dunk is going to get there. Westberg, like Zach said, yeah, you could easily see a path where he gets to 25 plus with the wall moving in, and he had 18 last year and 110 games or so. He could get to 25, but I'd like to see a more well-rounded approach maybe by Jordan Westberg and more well-rounded offensive profile. I'll take if he's 18 to 20 home runs again this year, if he can walk a little bit more and be more productive across the board. Mountcastle, Oopsie's the most aggressive projection on him at 22. I think he can get to 25 this year. Like we said last year in the mailbag. I hope he does. Holiday, I don't see Holiday getting close, if I'm being honest. And I've said many times, I think Holiday,
come on, he's got the toe tap.
I buy it. I think 10 to 15. I think Holiday's going to get 10 to 15, but I want to see him break out. I want to see him, and it doesn't even have to be the power. The power is in there. The power will come. But this year, if he's getting 30 plus doubles and 20 plus stolen bases, I am more than happy with that, and I'll wait for the power. But yeah, and you figure playing time as well. Like how much is he going to sit versus lefties? How aggressive are they going to be? TBD. But Holiday is I think clearly the one that's going to, of the 4, struggle the most to get there, and he's going to hit 30 this year now because we're just going to dog him.
My hot take is Jackson Holiday ends 2025 with more home runs than Jordan Westberg. 26 to 25, apparently, because I said it was 80 grade prediction. So,
we could have really upped this bold prediction by saying Ramon Arias was going to hit 25, and none of us took the bait. So I just looked it up. The 96 Orioles had 4 infielders with 20 plus home runs in Rafael Palmeiro, Roberto Alomar, BJ Surhoff, and Cal Ripken Jr. 5 if you count Todd Zeile,
Seal, yeah.
who hit 20 with the Phillies before being traded to the Orioles, where he hit 5 more to bring him up to 25 in the 1996 season. And we'll stick with the theme of home runs here and go to this one from EJ. Tyler O'Neill and Heston Kjerstad will combine for more than 55 home runs. What are your thoughts on this, Nick?
That is a tough one. I do think Kjerstad plays a lot more and makes a bigger impact than I think what some people expect or assume he's going to make this year. I don't know how. I'm not going to sit here and try to put the puzzle pieces together on this show, but I think he's going to get that playing time. 55 home runs, you're counting for Tyler O'Neill to stay healthy for a second consecutive year, which prayers up, fingers crossed. If he does this, they're capable of doing this. I see this one. I see them struggling to get 55 though between these two guys. That's a lot of home runs. TBD on how the new wall plays out there in left field or the wall moving in a little bit, but this is a tougher one, I think.
Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility. I'll give it a 55 grade, and I'll say that for the 55 home runs, 55 burgers, 55 fries, 55 home runs by Tyler O'Neill and Heston Kjerstad, I could see maybe 50, but 55, I don't know. I just don't know if the health is going to be there for O'Neill to combine that with kind of a mini breakout for Kjerstad. That seems like a lot to ask, but I'll take it for sure.
I would love for it to happen, and it's a fun prediction to think about, and I think it's a good one overall, but I'm going to give it a 50 because to get that from two guys that are going to be your right field DH option, you'd have to have a lot go right. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but a lot would have to go right. O'Neill would have to stay healthy, and I think that if O'Neill is healthy, he's going to push 30 homers this year, but he's got to stay healthy. And then for Kjerstad, it's got to be that he gets the at-bats that he needs to get to 20 to 25 home runs this year, and he produces consistently enough to get there. Again, I think he can do it, but that's probably the best-case scenario for him.
All right, another Tyler O'Neill prediction, and this one was, again, spurred by a debate that was had in the Discord on the patron side. Elijah says from the Warehouse Pod, shout out to them guys, Tyler O'Neill hits more home runs than Anthony Santander. Some people are mad that Santander was not re-signed, and instead they went with a clearer downgrade in Tyler O'Neill, who can't stay healthy to save his life. What do we think, Zach?
I'm going to give 60 to this one because I like that Elijah's going to plant his flag on the side of Tyler O'Neill. I do think that Santander is going to finish the year with more home runs. I think that he'll hit well at that ballpark up at Rogers Center. I do think O'Neill's going to have the better overall season. Higher F4, higher WRC plus. I think that those numbers for O'Neill are going to grade out better, but I think Santander ends up with more home runs.
This is a 20 grade prediction for the 20 minutes I spent looking at park factors and searching through Baseball Savant to try to form an argument for one side of this question. I spent way too much time when I could have been doing something else. But I would not expect anything less from Elijah to provide a thought provoker here. I think it's tough. Like, I don't know. Toronto isn't super friendly to lefties when it comes to home runs, but obviously righties isn't a paradise in Baltimore, and Santander is a switch hitter, so he is going to be hitting from the right side plenty as well, where Toronto, I think, was like top 10 in park factors for home runs for righties. I don't want to say a bad thing about Santander, and I love Tyler O'Neill that he's here. This is an extremely tough one. But yeah, I think this is a good thought exercise because it made me think a lot. If O'Neill is healthy, I think the Orioles signed him and were aggressive with O'Neill. I don't know why exactly, but I mean, we all have an idea. We've talked about it many times, but I think O'Neill's going to see a lot of run in the outfield. I think O'Neill is going to be a prominent hitter in this lineup for this team. It's why the Orioles were aggressive on him and wanted to bring him in and felt comfortable letting Santander go. So yeah, let's give the edge to O'Neill and say that right field wall moving in, he's like, all right, I'm going to party with it.
Yeah, I mean, look, glad Santander got that bag. That was a nice payday for him. I do wonder how he's going to hold up physically on that turf for half of a season, especially when you get towards the end of that contract. I think this, again, it'll be close. It'll depend on health for both guys. I think I'll give it a 60 grade because I like it, but I think I would put the betting odds lean slightly towards Santander if I was making them.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
True. Here's the one from Ben. AL East predictions. Orioles 1. These are Ben's predictions. Orioles 1, Red Sox 2, Yankees 3, Blue Jays 4, Rays 5. What do we think about this one, Zach?
So it depends on whether or not you think this is actually bold. Because I don't know that it is that bold, but given the pessimism surrounding the Orioles, at least among Orioles fans, it probably is bold. So I'll give it a 55. I do think that we have a pretty clear sense of who the top three teams in this division are. But you could really put them in any order at this point. I'll save my prediction for the AL East for next week. I'll just say it does not match what Ben has. But Ben's is bold and plausible. Depending on what your definition of bold is. But it is plausible.
Yeah. It's very plausible, which is why it's not bold. 20 grade. What is this? This is bold predictions, not medium, lukewarm predictions. Come on, Ben, do better. No, it's solid. It's solid.
I think it's bold because the Rays are in 5.
That's true.
The 5 spot here. That was my thing. The Rays are in a crappy situation in a spring ballpark, but it's not going to affect just them. And as long as they can stay healthy, like Brandon Lau and Josh Lowe, they're going to mash in the short porch. I think Yandy Diaz always seems to be underrated. It's I don't want to say stars and scrubs lineup because it's not like superstars here, but it is. Your Junior Caminero is very fun to watch and very good at hitting home runs. This lineup does have some holes, but the pitching staff, like I don't know if I'm being crazy here, but I love it. Is super risky. We all know this with Rays arms. But I love this pitching staff if they are healthy. McClanahan and Shane Baz. I think Ryan Pepio takes a step forward. I'm a big Ryan Pepio fan. You got Taj Bradley in there as well. I'm forgetting about Drew Rasmussen, which you shouldn't do because he's also a very good pitcher. Yeah, there's injuries here, but I don't see Tampa Bay finishing last. So I do think that is a bold prediction to put Tampa Bay last when you've got New York falling apart and you've got Toronto being Toronto.
Go to this one here from EJ and talking about a pitching prospect that's getting a lot of buzz this spring. EJ predicts Levi Wells will end the year as a top 10 O's prospect. Nick, I will start with you on this one. What are your thoughts?
80 grade prediction. Levi Wells it is. No, it almost brings a tear to my eye to see all the Levi Wells love. I'm glad that he's getting this hype and this attention. The velo, we'll see what it sits at across a full like regular season sample, but even in the short sample, that velo is hot. He's touching 100. He did not touch 100 last year. Zach Fruit did. Levi Wells did not. He was like 97, 98 maybe max, but yeah, I've been a believer in Wells though because of the stuff. And I watched every single Levi Wells outing last year when he was in Aberdeen, and it was so frustrating because so many nights it was clear as day that the stuff did not match the results some nights, especially early on. And then you go back. I wrote the piece over on Substack back in December. Three pitching prospects I want to watch closely in 2025. It was Chase Alsop, Yeber Cartaya, and Levi Wells, because post-injury Levi Wells was very good. 5.21 ERA, which was 2 runs lower than his pre-injury ERA. 2.24 FIP, which was 2.5 runs lower than his pre-injury FIP. Strikeout rate was down, but the walk rate went from 13% to 4.5%. Third best stuff plus among all 22-year-old pitchers in the minor leagues, according to Baseball America's model. There's no guarantee he pans out, but he deserves a long, hard look in 2025, and he's off to a great start with these spring and spring breakout games.
The stuff is undeniable. Like it's there. It's beautiful. Bare minimum seems like a power reliever in the major leagues at some point in his career, and it's sad that it took me almost halfway through these questions to realize how I want to grade these, but I'm going to go by boldness, and I think Levi Wells as a top 10 prospect is pretty damn bold. I'm giving it a 70 grade. I don't think I could agree that he'll be top 10, but I like the boldness.
Yeah, I landed a 70 here as well. I think Levi Wells is really going to shoot up the rankings this year. What gives me pause on top 10, though, is that I feel like by the end of this season, if it's not settled, it's going to be close to settled that Levi Wells is going to be a reliever. And unless you see a lot of trades on the pitching side and the farm system thins out a little bit, he's likely going to have pitchers who project as starters ahead of him, which could make it a little bit tough to crack the top 10. Doesn't mean it's impossible. It's just going to make it a little bit tougher. But I do like the boldness of this one, and I like the plausibility of it.
For sure. Let's go with Garrett, who says, again, here we go, Tyler O'Neill. I think we know where some of these were sparked from. Tyler O'Neill makes more starts at DH than anyone else on the team. That's interesting. Nick?
All right, well, you got me thinking. I don't know how I'm grading these either. Thanks for giving us talking points. That's all. That's what I'm grading. 80 great talking points for this episode to get us to another week. Nah, they didn't sign him to DH. I don't care who plays where or what position. Just give me the lineup. Let's play ball. But I think you're going to see a lot of Tyler O'Neill in the outfield. Ryan O'Hearn, Ryan Mountcastle are still here, despite many people don't want one or both of them here. Adley's going to be DHing. Nah. I don't think Tyler O'Neill leads the team in DH appearances.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. I'll give this one a 50. The only way I see it happening is if he misses a chunk of time during the season with an injury, comes back, and they make him a DH just to keep him healthy, or they make him DH, let's say, 3 days a week, and then put him in the outfield for 2. Something like that I could see. But I agree with Nick. If O'Neill is healthy, and he stays healthy throughout the year, he's going to be primarily an outfielder.
Yeah, I think I agree. I'll go 50 as well. I think he'll be in the mix. I think he'll be probably top 4 or 5 on the team with DH appearances. But I think it'll mostly be between Ryan O'Hearn, Heston Kjerstad, and Adley for the top 3 choices.
Another one from Ben here. Jorge Mateo plays in at least 50 games with the Orioles this season. And can I just quickly answer this? This is 20 grade because if he's healthy, he's going to appear in like every single game.
Yeah, what are we doing here? I guess it's a little bit bold just because he probably made this when, the injury news was he's not going to be ready for opening day, and probably just trolling people like Garrett who think he should be DFA'd immediately. I think it's logical that if he's healthy, and it sounds like he's going to be healthy, if not by opening day, soon after. He's already playing in spring training games. He should easily clear 50 games. I don't think he's going to last all season on the roster, but then again, I probably said that the last 2 years as well. So
he's not going to.
yeah.
He is. You can't clear him up. There's no medication that's going to get rid of this. There ain't nothing. He is here to stay until the contract is up. Jorge Mateo is going to be in our lives, and we are going to have to like it.
Yeah, he might lie dormant for a while, but he's always there. I'll say 45.
What was Chance Sisco's power grade when he was coming up through the minor leagues? Because that's what I give this prediction.
Probably like 45, 50.
No, that's just a joke. But yeah, I'm going to go with a 45 on this one because I agree with you guys. As long as Mateo is able to step on a baseball field, he's going to be in games. So the only way he doesn't appear in 50-plus games is if he doesn't come back until sometime around the All-Star break. All right, so I will go to the next one here, which is from Eliza. Jackson Holliday, another Jackson Holliday prompt here. Jackson Holliday will be leading off by July 1st. What do you say to that, Bob?
I like it. I think this is 70 grade prediction. I think this would be a wonderful development. I think he's got the perfect leadoff hitter attributes, unless Enrique Bradfield can come up and continue to get on base the way he does with his speed. But Jackson Holliday, he's got the hit tool. I think it's underreported how great his plate discipline is. He's walking like 20% of the time in his professional career. Yeah, I really like this. And I think it helps a lot with the construction of the lineup, because then you can have Adley 2, Gunnar 3, Tyler O'Neill 4, and just go from there. So yeah, 70 grade. I love this prediction. I don't know how true it is, but it's bold, and I think it's going to happen eventually, and it's going to be really good for the health of the lineup day in and day out.
Yeah, if he's hitting, and especially if he can become that line drive hitter where he's finding the gaps to get on base, he's using that speed to put himself in scoring position for Adley and Gunnar behind him. Like, I like having Gunnar being the leadoff. Gunnar leadoff home runs are fun, but if I can get Jackson Holliday to smack a double and then Gunnar Henderson hits a 2-run home run to start the game, that's even more fun. And if they want Holliday to be aggressive, I know the base running has been, not everybody's cup of tea this spring training. They weren't lying when they said they were going to be aggressive in the spring. I do firmly believe that will be toned down when the regular season starts. This is spring. It doesn't matter. Get comfortable. Do stuff that takes you out of your comfort zone right now. But, we'll see what Holliday can do when he gets that chance. But I think that would be ideal if he could be at the leadoff spot by the midpoint of the season.
I give this one a 75. Holliday led off in the minor leagues. I do think that the Orioles, although Gunnar Henderson is a very good leadoff hitter, the Orioles are not afraid to mix things up from time to time with the batting order. So I think there will be opportunities for Holliday to get to that spot. And here's the other thing, is that with the growth mindset that this organization has, if Holliday gets off to a good start this year, they're not going to leave him down the 8th or 9th spot in the lineup all year. They're going to try to find ways to challenge him, whether that's leading off games, whether that's batting third, whatever it is, playing him more against lefties. They're going to try to find ways to challenge him. And I think that this would be part of that step. So I like this one.
Okay, here's another one from Callie, which he understood the assignment. Let's just say that, because his prompt here is Jackson Holliday 30-30 season. Pretty bold, Nick.
Yeah, that's a lot. For boldness, yeah, that's top of the scale. But the 30 stolen bases I could see him getting, but the other half maybe in like 2-3 years.
If this was for his career, like, will it happen at some point in his career? I'd say love it. Definitely could happen. This year, I don't know.
I'll give this one a 70. I appreciate the boldness. I don't think it's going to happen. I do think we'll get to 30 steals, but I don't see 30 home runs coming this year.
Yeah, agreed. I'll say 70 as well, just because, again, he's bringing boldness to the table. There's no doubt about it. Callie, good job.
Jackson Holliday is hitting 30 home runs and all 4 infielders hitting 25 plus. The Orioles have won the World Series. That is on lock. It doesn't matter.
Unfortunately, they went cold for a week in October, so we didn't.
That's true. It all comes crashing down. This one tripped me up. And I'm like, why did you put this one on here? And then it's just, you think about it. Major leagues. I did not understand that part of the assignment. Matt asked, Enrique Bradfield Jr. will have a stolen base in the postseason. And to be fair, I thought I did not see postseason the first time I saw this question. And so I was like, of course he's going to have one stolen base. But a stolen base in the postseason with the Major League Orioles in 2025. Bob, what do you think?
It's bold, and I think it's going to be pretty accurate. I actually think this, I would concur. I think this is going to happen. If we make the playoffs, I see no reason why he wouldn't be added to the 40-man roster and be on the playoff roster simply for that opportunity to play some really solid defense, steal a base, show off the speed on the bases. So, yeah, I like this one a lot. I'll give it a 80 grade prediction to go with the 80 grade speed that Enrique Bradfield has.
I'll give this one a 70. I still question if the Orioles are actually going to move ahead with putting Bradfield on the 40-man roster unless they think he's their opening day center fielder next year. I question if they're going to use the 40-man spot on him when they don't necessarily have to, but they will have to make a quick decision on Judd Fabian and Dylan Beavers after the season if both of them stick in the organization throughout the year and don't reach the major leagues before the season ends. They're going to have to decide on those guys, whereas Bradfield, they'll have another year. But that said, if the Orioles do think that Bradfield has a good chance to be their opening day center fielder in 2026, and he's at Norfolk for most of the second half, putting up good numbers, this becomes a lot more likely.
It's conflicting just because I do see this organization being reluctant to bring him up, a rookie up for the playoffs, even if it is strictly just to run, because they're like, he hasn't done it before. They're like, what if he gets caught? Right? Like, that one's tough. But like I just said, with Jorge Mateo, guy's not going anywhere. That's your guy who's going to be the speed, defense, late game combination. If Mateo's gone, absolutely, I could see Bradfield doing it. But I will, to take this back to the spring breakout discussion. I don't think, and I'm including myself here, that we don't understand just how much this organization loves Enrique Bradfield. And if he picks up with the bat where he left off last year in Bowie, I think people, all of us included, are going to be surprised at where Bradfield ends up by the end of 2025.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We're going to go to this one from Kevin Brown, and I think this is oddly optimistic for Kevin, which is to say it's actually not that optimistic, but it's not like overtly negative either. An AL East team loses 95 games this season. Now, we talked about Ben's prediction earlier. I think these two kind of tie together nicely. So what are your thoughts on this one, Bob?
I'm surprised, and this is progress for our Kevin Brown, that he didn't specify the Orioles will lose 95 games. I think it's bold just because I think most of the AL East teams improved, I feel like, or at least made attempts to be competitive this year. And I feel like that's half the battle in MLB these days. If it was going to happen, as crazy as it sounds, I think it might be the Yankees, just because if these injuries continue, say Judge gets hurt, the pitching is not that deep anyway. I could see a monumentally bad season in New York, and I would love every second of it, especially after they just made the World Series. But I don't think this is likely. I like the Rays. I don't like the Blue Jays, but I think they're good enough to avoid losing 95 games. So it's bold, but I don't think it's particularly close to happening. So I'll say 55.
Yeah, no shot. I think This is the least scary that the AL East has been in a long time, but I don't think anyone's bad enough that the rest of the league's going to just walk all over them. Like, do not overlook Boston, even though there's so much turmoil and it seems like drama, drama, drama. I don't think any of that matters when they start playing games. I'm still scared to death of Boston, as we talked about all offseason. Still scared to death about them. Don't overlook New York. They're going to try to stay relevant, but I do agree with what Bob just said. If Aaron Judge goes down, it's donezo for them. If Max Fried goes down, it's donezo for them. Tampa Bay, I think, is a much better club than a lot of people are going to give them credit for. And Toronto's going to be dumb enough to fight and claw their way near the top of the AL East for a large chunk of the season. They're going to fall off a cliff. Something terrible is going to happen up there, but it always does. Apparently Kevin Gossman's throwing nothing. Like, his velo dropped apparently today. I think I saw a note about that.
91.5 today, fastball.
Well, it's starting for them with the pitching injuries. And they are not deep, I don't think, as far as the pitching is concerned. And their lineup is already stars and scrubs, and the scrubbiest of scrubs. So, but they're going to fight their way in the beginning, but not enough to lose 95 games.
I'm going to give this one 55. I don't think anybody loses 95 games. I will say this, though, which is that I think there's a scenario where Toronto or Tampa Bay blows up their roster at the deadline. I agree with you guys. I think Tampa Bay is better than what people are giving them credit for, but this is also sort of a lost year with what is going on with their ballpark. So if they get off to a bad start, I could see Shane McClanahan being traded. I could see Brandon Lau being traded. I could see them moving some of their bigger pieces. And then the Blue Jays, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bill Bichette are going to be free agents at the end of this year. It doesn't look like either one of them are going to stick around long term. So if they get off to a bad start, they have to move those guys, right? Like, they're not going to hold on to them all year just to lose them in free agency. I wouldn't hope, for their sake. But I could see that if things are going really bad for them over the first 2.5 months of the year, that they blow that roster up at the deadline. Then the possibility comes into play that someone loses 95 games. I still don't think it's going to happen, but it's not completely out of the question.
Yeah, that's fair. And hopefully the Blue Jays start at least 1-3 or 0-4, since we know how things are kicking off there. But let's move to a more positive prediction. Sorry, Kevin. Another one from Vivek, who says Cade Povich will finish top 15 in American League Cy Young voting. He looks pretty good this spring. What do you think, Nick?
This is a Vivek prediction. It is very optimistic. I don't see it happening. I will take a step forward from last year. And the Cade Povich that we saw flashes of last year was very good. Like, yeah, this spring, he's not walking guys this spring. In this, like, a 10-inning sample or so, it's, a 3.5 FIP. He's looking good out there. And I mentioned you guys beforehand, I'm catching up on on rates and barrels. Excuse me. Catching up on rates and barrels, and, like to joke a lot of time that Eno despises Cade Povich. Every time Cade Povich's name comes up, it's, this stuff is disgusting. It's not good. Disgusting as yet, not good disgusting. And I'm listening to an episode today where he seems to turn the corner on Cade Povich because of Cade Povich's more broad repertoire. And he likes these changes that he's seeing in Povich. So you're convincing Eno. So I hope we do see the year 2 breakout from Povich. I think this rotation, I want to say absolutely needs it, but it will carry this team a very long way. I think if Povich has a year 2 breakout, but top 15 Cy Young is like 2-3 years from now conversation.
Yeah, I give this one a 45 because I don't see it happening. Honestly, if Povich posts a sub 4.5 ERA over 110 innings with a walk per 9 somewhere around 3 and a strikeout per 9 approaching 8.5, let's say, I would be thrilled with that season. I honestly would, because I would see that as a big step forward for him. So take that as a win if that's something what you get. If he finishes top 15, we talked about how the Orioles World Series odds are a lot better if they have 4 infielders that hit 25-plus home runs and Jackson Holiday has a 30-30 season. I'm thinking like all-time wins record and the World Series if Cade Povich finishes top 15 in Cy Young voting and you have 4 infielders with 25-plus home runs.
Absolutely. I'll give it a 60 because it is bold. And I mean, like I said, if you combine his September with his spring training so far, things definitely seem to be shifting in the right direction. I still don't think it's very likely. Probably like if you can get odds in Vegas on this, put $10 on it because you're going to make a bunch of money. But first, he's got to beat out Albert Suarez for that 5th starter spot. So I would like to see him make the opening day rotation and then have Suarez be kind of like 6-man / long reliever, what have you. But yeah, he hasn't even made the team out of spring training. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
But shout out to Albert Suarez, his last few spring outings. He is looking very good as well. So I'm not complaining. I don't care who's stepping up. I'm happy guys are stepping up and pitching well. And I'm glad the decision, I think it was Hyde or somebody said, I believe this was the Orioles I was looking at, they're far away from making that decision on a 5th starter. I love to hear it. These guys are making it tough. We got 2 more, it looks like here. This one's from Billy, and he says, Judd Fabian, great catch the other night. Judd Fabian, a 2020 season with Norfolk. Bob, what do you think about that one?
I think it's a good prediction. I don't know if it's necessarily that bold. I think this is a lock. If he plays, if he's healthy, this is a lock to me. So I'm going to give him a 40 grade here. I like the prediction itself. It's just like, if you're not at least going to do 25-25, what are we doing here? Billy, I know you're the Norfolk guy. You should know better. Judd Fabian is going to hit some bombs. He's going to steal some bases. He's going to make some great plays out in the outfield, and you're going to love watching him play. And I can't wait to get your reports in the Discord. But yeah, I'll give it a 40.
I'm going to go a little bit higher on this one. I'll give it a 50 because if you're saying he's hitting 20 home runs, then you're taking, I think, a glass half full view of what his hit tool is going to look like this year, or at least close to it, because I don't think there's a scenario where Fabian struggles to make contact the way that he did after getting promoted to AAA last year and hits 20 home runs. I don't think he's going to approach 20 if he's striking out that much. But if the hit tool progresses the way that it did last year at Bowie after he struggled in AA in the second half of the 23 season, then yeah, I do think he's going to probably get 2020 or very close to it this year. But I know that there are some very valid questions about the hit tool. So I give this a little bit higher grade because I know that some people maybe aren't sold on the idea that Fabian's going to make contact consistently enough to get to 20 home runs. But if he is making more contact, I think he gets there.
He better get 2020 because the strikeout rate is going to be high. We all know that. So he better be hitting those home runs and causing havoc on the base paths. When he does get on base via the walk, he can draw a walk. I think this is, as far as being realistic, this is a solid 70 grade prediction here. Boldness, not so much, because I think he's a righty hit at Harbor Park. They fare well. You don't have the wind tunnel over there in right field. And honestly, after watching Judd Fabian the other night, and we know he's a premier defender, but after watching him make that catch the other day in the spring breakout game, I think you're going to be seeing a lot of Judd Fabian highlights, more so defensively this year. And that's not a knock on the bat or disbelief in the bat. But like I've said many times, that cavernous center field at Harbor Park, it truly is a monster. And Judd Fabian is going to have no issues taming that beast out there. And that is going to be the biggest joy, I think, to watch, because we know he can hit bombs. But watching him play center field down there in Norfolk this year is going to be a lot of fun.
Let's wrap up with this one. I think this is a fun one here from EJ. One of Aaron Estrada, Leandro Arias, or Thomas Sosa will end this season at Norfolk. Nick, what are your thoughts?
I do like it. I don't think it will be Sosa. But I will say, It just needs to click for him. And if it clicks, he's going to take off like a rocket. Uh, not a SpaceX rocket, but like a rocket that can successfully launch into space. I think it's going to be Estrada. Just because, and I know Leandro Arias just had a great game we just talked about, but Estrada adjusted very well to pretty well to high A after his promotion. And so, yeah, I think one of them does reach AAA. And so I like this prediction. I think this is a solid 70 grade on the boldness and being realistic, because Estrada and Arias have high floors. And so as long as they're hitting well, they're going to rise quickly. And I don't see why one of them doesn't get that week 6 game cup of coffee at the end of the year in Norfolk.
Yeah, if like all the seasons ended at the same time, I'd say this is pretty wild, bold prediction. I'll give it 70 grade regardless. But yeah, I do think that extra week the AAA gets is going to help this one come true for one of these guys. I'm not sure which, but it's like you said with Thomas Sosa, if it clicks, it's going to be a sight to see, and he'll easily get there. With Estrada, yeah, I mean, the performance he had last year between high and low A was pretty eye-opening, and if he can just continue that progression, I could see it happening for sure. And Arias, he's one of our big breakout picks potentially for this year. So yeah, I like this one a lot. And if it's not them, I just can't wait to see. It's only a matter of time that there will be some huge breakouts this year. I just can't wait to see who it's going to be. And it could easily be one of these three.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. I'm going to give it a 70. I agree with Nick that if one of these three gets there this year, it's going to be Aaron Estrada. He adjusted nicely to high A last year. And even if he starts this season back at Aberdeen, I could see that being a quick jump up to Bowie. And if he hits well there, he gets a cup of coffee in Norfolk at the end of the year. What stood out to me about Estrada last year, and what I'm really curious to see coming into this season, is what that power is going to look like, because he doesn't physically fit the bill of the guy who's going to project to hit for more power as he gets older, because he's just not that big of a guy. There's not a lot of physical projection there necessarily, but he's got good hands. He can get the bat through the zone pretty quickly. So he managed to hit 9 home runs last year. I wouldn't be shocked if he finishes the season in the 12 to 15 home run range, if he's able to spend a good chunk of time at Bowie. And at that rate, he probably is hitting well enough to warrant at least a very brief cameo in Norfolk at the end of the season. So I could see him getting there. Sosa, of course, it's the most exciting player to dream on in this group, because I think he's the closest thing you have to a 5-tool prospect. And then Arias just seems like he's going to be one of those guys that's really steady, can hit the ball over the place, good plate discipline. I think he's going to have a big year, but of the three, I think Estrada's the most likely to get to AAA. And for that does it for this episode. Thank you to our listeners for submitting these bold predictions. And who knows, we might check in on these during the season, or we might open this back up for a prompt during the season for mid-season predictions, whether it's a trade deadline, the playoffs, whatever it is, and perhaps do this as an episode or a bonus episode on our Patreon community. So keep an eye out for that during the season. We will be back next week at 8:30 Monday night with Connor Newcomb, our good friend, the host of Locked On Orioles. He's going to be joining us for our preseason predictions. You're not going to want to miss that. We will be predicting all things Orioles as well as MLB, and we're going to do over-under on player projections. In the meantime, you can check us out on our many social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, and Twitch. We're also over at Substack, OriolesOnTheVerge.substack.com. Nick has been pumping out draft content weekly over there. If you've not had a chance to check out those articles, please do so today and become a subscriber to our Substack. And while you're browsing around the internet, be sure to head over to our Patreon community and become a member today. You can join for as little as $3, have access to the Patreon exclusive sections of our Discord chats, as well as bonus coverage throughout the season from Bob, Nick, and myself. That's over at Patreon. You're not going to want to miss that. For Bob Phelan and Nick Stevens, this is Zach Spedden. You've been listening to Orioles on the Verge, presented by BetOnline. and part of the Believe Podcast Network.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.